Okay guys, let's go to the next topic, creating your first Spring Boot project. Creating a Spring Boot project is significantly easier than creating a traditional Spring application because Spring Boot removes much of the manual configuration and setup work. In the old Spring framework days, developers had to download multiple jar files, configure XML files manually, configure web servers separately, set up dependency versions themselves, configure application startup classes manually. But in Spring Boot, it automates most of this process using starter dependencies, auto configuration, embedded servers, convention over configuration. As a result, you can create a production ready application in minutes. So, what are the prerequisites for Spring Boot project? We need at least JDK 17 or higher and Spring Boot 3.6 version or higher. So you can verify the Java installation, Java version by going to the command prompt and enter the command Java minus version. You will get the Java version installed on your machine. Or OpenJDK version. You will see the OpenJDK version, like example 21.02 or something like that. What are the build tools that Spring Boot uses? Spring Boot supports two build tools. One is Maven and Gradle. So you can check the installation on your Maven by using the command mvn-version and Gradle using gradle-version. So the recommended IDEs is the developer environments or IntelliJ IDEA, STS, Spring Tool Suite, Eclipse and Visual Studio. So whichever you want to use, the most preferable one is IntelliJ IDEA, and if someone is comfortable with Eclipse, they can still use Eclipse. VS Code is a bit advanced and it has more features compared to IntelliJ IDEA and Eclipse. What are the ways to create a Spring Boot project? The first easiest way and the recommended way is go to Spring Initializer. So this is the easiest and most popular approach. Spring Initializer generates a fully configured project structure. Modern IDEs have built-in Spring Boot project generators. Example, you go to File menu, New Project, and you can see Spring Initializer. And from the command line also you can generate a project using curl https start spring.io, but this approach is less common for beginners. How will you create a project using Spring Initializer? You can choose the options as choose Maven project. Maven uses XML configuration through pom.xml. You can choose the language as Java, and Spring Boot version you can choose 3.5.6 or higher than that. Then select the project metadata, artifact, name, description, and package. We'll get on to the details when we do the hands-on. I can show you all this stuff, but from the theoretical perspective, I'm just explaining. The packaging, you can select it as jar or bar. Java version you can choose 17 or 21. So next thing is we need to add the dependencies. Dependencies determine what functionality your application supports. Like Spring Web, you need to add support for REST APIs, controllers, embedded Tomcat, JSON serialization. The Maven dependency look like you have inside the dependency, you will have the group ID and artifact ID. Artifact ID will be Spring Boot start web. Same thing for Spring Data JPA. It adds support for ORM, repositories, transactions, Hibernate integration. So in the artifact ID, you need to mention that as Spring Boot starter JPA. MySQL driver, it allows communication with MySQL database. The artifact ID will be MySQL connector J. Next is Lombok. So why we need Lombok is it reduces the boilerplate code. You don't need to add getters, setters explicitly. By including this library, Lombok library, in the dependency, it will add the setters and getters by itself. The artifact ID you need to mention as Lombok. The project structure in the Spring Boot project will typically be like this. If you see the top, this is a employee management project. So inside that you will see the SRC folder, and inside the SRC folder you will have the main folder. Inside that you will have the Java. Okay, so the package name you will see the com.CodeStack labs employee management, and after that you will have the employee management application.java. This is the Java file where you will see the entry point for the Spring Boot application. And the same level as Java, we have the resource folder. Inside the resources folder, we will have the application properties, static, templates. And after that, at the SRC level, you will have the test folder also. Okay, so whatever that you see in the main, the same level you have the test. So, but inside the test, you will have all the test cases, unit test cases, and so on. You can write inside the test folder. And the top level, you will see that pom.xml. Okay, so wherein you will declare all the dependencies for all the projects that here. Now, let's understand the structure of the pom.xml. Okay, what is pom.xml is, this file manages dependencies and build configuration. Example, you will have the inside parent, you will have the group ID, artifact ID, and version. So group ID generally you will have or spring framework.boot. The artifact ID you see is Spring Boot start parent, and you will add all the whatever that is required for the project. Suppose if it is a web project related project, you will add the Spring Boot starter web, and you will need to mention the version, whatever the version is. This parent provides compatible dependency versions, plugin configuration, and build defaults. Without it, developers would need to manage dependency compatibility manually. If you don't specify any version, Spring Boot automatically provides the correct version. This feature is called dependency management. Next, we go to the main class. This main class is generated automatically. You will see the annotation Spring Boot application, public class, employee management application. Inside that, you will see Spring application.run and the class employee management application.class. This is the application entry point. So let's understand the annotations Spring Boot application. This annotation combines three annotations. One, Spring Boot configuration, enable auto configuration, and component scan. What is Spring Boot configuration annotation does is, it marks the class as a configuration class. It's equivalent to annotation configuration @configuration. Next, enable auto configuration. This annotation enables Spring Boot auto configuration. Spring automatically configures dispatcher servlet, Jackson object mapper, embedded Tomcat, error handling, MVC configuration based on the dependencies found in the class path. Next is component scan. It automatically scans component, service, repository, controller, REST controller, all this annotation inside the current package and sub packages. So what happens during startup is, when you run this Spring application.run, Spring Boot performs several steps. Creates application context, starts bean scanning, creates the beans, injects the dependencies, applies auto configuration, starts embedded Tomcat, deploys application, and accepts HTTP requests. So let's go and create the first REST endpoint. This is how you create the REST endpoint. Inside the class, you will annotate it as REST controller. In that you will define one method, that is one endpoint, get mapping hello. Okay. Inside that you just return hello Spring Boot. When you start the server and hit the endpoint, you will see the hello Spring Boot. So what happens internally is, the browser sends get hello, the flow will be from the client goes to embedded Tomcat, inside Tomcat goes to dispatcher servlet, and after that handler mapping to hello controller, and it returns the response. Now let's run the application. When you click run, the application has Spring Boot. It uses, or we can use the Maven command, mvn Spring Boot run. These are different types of different ways to run the Spring Boot application. From IDE, you can go to directly and run it from run the application. Right click on the application and run it as Spring Boot application, or use Maven command also, mvn Spring Boot run. Now, what it does is, it builds the jar. Okay, so when you say clean package and Spring Boot run, it creates the jar file. Okay, so the target folder and all on that will mention as java -jar target and employee management .jar. Now let's understand the embedded Tomcat. Traditional Java applications require creating war file, installing Tomcat, deploy war manually. Spring Boot includes Tomcat inside the application. The jar already contains application code, Spring libraries, embedded server. This simplifies deployment enormously. Next, we will see the application.properties. This properties file is used for application configuration. Example, you want to mention the server port as 8081 or something else, you need to declare inside this application properties folder. The file you will mention as server.port 8081. The Spring application name as employee management. This is where it picks up, yes, the application name is employee management, and I have to go figure out this is the application that I have to run. Database configuration also you can mention it as Spring data source, your data source username, data source password, you can mention it. So creating a typical layered structure is, Spring Boot application usually follow controller. First is the controller, second is the service layer, third is the repository, entity, DTO, and you will have the exception, configuration, security, and util. So only 4 layers you need to remember. First is the controller. From the controller it goes to service layer. From the service layer it goes to repository layer, and from the repository it hits the DB, whichever you configure in the application properties. Now let's understand what are the common beginner mistakes while configuring the Spring Boot project. So the common mistake is wrong package structure. Okay, the incorrect one is pom example controller, pom other service. So the correct one is, you need to configure the folders inside the pom.example folder. You will have separate folders for controller, service, and repository. Another common mistake is missing dependency. When you want to use REST controller, @REST controller, you have to configure the dependency Spring Boot starter web. Otherwise, it results in compilation errors. The third mistake is, if the port is already in use by some other application, and if you are configuring the same port, it results in an error. Example, if port 8080 is used by some other application already, then if you specify that same port number in application.properties, it results in an error. The solution is give some other number, give some other port number. Next, when you see an error like no qualifying being found, what exactly this means is the root cause behind this is usually caused by missing annotation, a wrong package structure, and multiple implementation. When you want to run the application, you can use the easiest way is if you are comfortable with downloading Postman and using that Postman, you can use the Postman and run directly, hit the endpoint HTTP localhost 8080. To summarize what we have covered in this video, so we learned how to generate project using Spring Initializer. We learned how to add required dependencies. We learned how to create application classes and how to run the application. Behind these steps, Spring Boot performs dependency management, bean creation, dependency injection, auto configuration, embedded server, application startup. This automation is the primary reason Spring Boot became the dominant framework for Java microservices and REST API development. We'll cover the next topics in the next video. If you like this video and want to see the further videos, please hit the subscribe button to catch up the next videos promptly. Thank you.